Hello, I'm Double Moses. So I'm back after taking a bit of a break from the game for a while. But a few weeks ago, I finally got a new PC, got my recording all set up, and here we are. Now today I want to talk about the first 1.16 Nether update Snapshot, and specifically how it's going to change the way we'll be looking at mob farming in the Nether. One of the big discussion points around 1.16 was the reveal of the new Piglin mob, and how it's going to affect our current zombie pigman based golden XP farms. So I've noticed a bit of confusion around the Piglin, so I just want to clarify. The zombie pigman isn't being replaced by the Piglin. It's going to be renamed to the zombified Piglin, with the Piglin being a brand new mob. Now the Piglin hasn't made an appearance in the Snapshot yet, so we don't know how it's going to change things, but there are some other interesting design decisions I've noticed that caught my eye, and I wanted to take a deeper look into potential ways we might be farming the Nether in the future. First thing you notice when stepping into the Nether in the Snapshot is that they've created 3 new Nether biomes. And what's really interesting is they've given each one its own distinct selection of mobs that spawn within its borders. So this is a really cool idea, so not only does each area have a distinct visual feel, but it also changes how you play in those areas as well. Of course, whenever something like this happens, we're going to try and figure out how we can exploit it as much as possible. Now of course, keep in mind, this is only the first snapshot, so all the specifics here are probably going to change, but I think the core concept is worth talking about. First up is my visual favourite of the new biomes, but unfortunately it's probably the least useful. So this is the ethereal and haunting warped forest. And to match this unsettling spooky feel, they've decided to make this area only spawn Endermen. Now technically you could build an Enderman XP farm here, but with the way the game spawns mobs, it means you really want to build your mob farms as low as possible with absolutely nothing placed above and around it. And the end void's already perfect for that. Anything built in the Nether will just be more complicated and less effective. Could be useful for skyblock, but in vanilla gameplay, the only real use for this area that I can see is as an early way to get ender pearls, so you can get to a stronghold, activate the portal, and get yourself to the end. Next up we have the Crimson Forest. And I see this area as the one with the most potential, as it's currently the only biome that contains the new Hoagland beast, which spawns in roughly equal numbers with the only other mob to appear in this biome, the zombie pigman. For now, we'll ignore the pigman, as I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about once the piglin's released. But what interests me the most here is I believe that the Hoagland's main gameplay purpose is to provide a source of food in the Nether. Now it's not really implemented yet. It has almost no AI, it can't breed, its hitbox is wrong, and it only drops rotten flesh. But if whatever food they end up dropping is comparable to steak and golden carrots, we'll potentially have a viable and far simpler alternative to overworld passive mob farms, which is just really annoying to make. Now up here on the Nether roof, I've quickly thrown together a simple 3-chunk Wither Rose base farm to get a general idea of viability. So we can easily create a Hoagland only farm by using the same trick that we use to make overworld creeper farms. What we do is we create a 2-high spawning platform. Now I'm going to do hopper, soul sand, then wither rose, and then we place a top trapdoor against the second block. Since the zombie pigman is a tiny bit too tall to fit into this gap, all of their spawn attempts will be cancelled, leaving us with an endless stream of Hoaglands. This simple farm is getting around 6,000 rotten flesh an hour, which isn't too bad for a simple unoptimized proof of concept, so we're definitely getting a lot of Hoagland spawns. I'll be keeping an eye on the Hoagland, hopefully it ends up having some useful drops. In terms of its spawning restrictions, the Hoagland won't spawn in if the light level is above 12, and it also won't spawn in on wart blocks, so the red nether wart block or the warped wart block, which is kind of awkward to say. Presumably it's so that you don't have Hoaglands wandering about on the top of these nether mushroom tree things. Now that does mean that you can make a pigman only farm here by using wart blocks as your spawning floor, but it ends up being worse than what we currently have. As I said before, about half the spawning attempts made in this biome will try to create pigmen, whereas in the regular nether, it's closer to 2/3. So a farm build here will be simpler, but far less effective just because the game isn't trying to spawn in as many pigmen. The last of the new biomes is the very brown Soul Sand Valley. Here you're going to be wanting to spend your time looking up, as the vast majority of spawns are ghasts, with a very small contribution of white skeletons and endermen. Here we can make much faster ghast farms. There's 2 main factors in this. First up, we don't have to worry about magma cubes. We normally can't block them from spawning in regular ghast farms, so they're usually hanging around for a bit, taking up a lot of space, blocking ghast from spawning in. Since we don't have to deal with killing the tiny magma cubes, we can save a lot of wither roses, only needing to place one every 5 blocks instead of covering the entire floor with them. The main factor, however, is that unlike in the normal Nether, almost every spawn attempt is going to be a ghast. The game isn't wasting time trying to create pigment and magma cubes, and while it will try to spawn in the occasional enderman and skeleton, a quick look at the game code shows that those attempts are really rare. The few that do try to spawn in, we can block them by making sure the light level in the farm remains above 8 by placing these rows of jack-o'-lanterns. We use the pumpkins because they're the only light source that's also a spawnable block. Even though sea lanterns, glowstone and the new nether cheese light block are full cubes, mobs can't spawn on them, so you lose a lot of spawnable spots for no reason, which really slows down your farm. This farm, which is similar to current ghast farms, is around 9 chunks in size and pulls in over 3,000 items an hour, around 1,000 tiers and a bit over 2,000 gunpowder. In comparison, this similar farm I threw together in the normal nether, where ghasts make up about a third of the spawning attempts, is getting less than half of that. Since most people don't really need that many ghast tiers, you could scale this down quite a lot and it'll still be pretty effective. The other thing you could try to do here is make a skeleton farm, but like I said before, the game very rarely tries to spawn in skeletons. Out of curiosity, I threw together a quick 3-chunk farm, similar to the one we used with the Hoaglands earlier, and it pulled in a disgraceful 500 bones per hour. Of course, they may tweak the spawn rates in future updates, especially since I have been seeing a lot of feedback about ghast spawning rate being too high, which of course would reduce the effectiveness of the ghast farm, but I really doubt a nether bone farm will ever be a better option than a simple overworld mob farm. So that's the new biomes done. Here we have the Nether Wastes, which is just the new name for the original nether biome. They currently haven't changed anything here, so mob spawning still works exactly the same way as it does in 1.15, but I suspect that will change in future snapshots. Last up, just a quick note on nether fortresses. Although I'm not sure if their structure generation has changed at all, the mob spawning within them remains unchanged, so current wither skeleton farms work as expected. I don't think they'll be changing that, but that's just total speculation. Overall, I'm really liking the direction that they're taking with this snapshot. The visual diversity in the nether makes it a lot more interesting, and there's plenty of new mechanics for us to play around with. Personally, I'm hoping to see 2 or 3 new biomes, maybe another mob or 2 besides the piglin, and I think some new structures like the witch hut that have unique mob spawns within it would really spice up the place as well. I won't be making videos every snapshot, but whenever something interests me that hasn't been covered to death by other YouTubers, I'll definitely try to get something out for it. So thank you very much for watching, have a good one, see you later.